Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers of the Perception Diet, and I'm here today again with my lovely sister, Samantha, and we are going to talk about part 2 of how to build a life that actually works for you. So in part 1, if you haven't already watched that, I have put the link down below, please go check that out. We basically talked about how we both realized that we didn't really fit into the mold of society. I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that specifically in this video, like why we didn't fit into the role, like into society so much, and how we both just kind of like, Sam just kind of shut herself down and tried to put herself into society and make that work. Yeah, so she was on autopilot, where I was just like actively rejecting everything without actually thinking about who I was and what I wanted. Okay, so when we talk about saying that like we from an early age realized society didn't really work for us, again, we're talking about the society we were born into, which is not necessarily society at large or anything, that's just kind of like our culture. So for instance, like with like Christianity and just like the black and white thinking, right? And again, this was just kind of our experience, not to say that all Christians have this experience, but it's just like the black and white thinking, this is right, this is wrong, this is how you have to be, this is what you have to do. That really didn't resonate with us. Like we weren't really finding that that was allowing us to be who we want to be. Second thing was like the work situation. Like just go out, get a 9-to-5 job, get security, get stability, you know?
Yeah, like do what you have to do in your 9 to 5 and just live a good life outside of those hours.
Right.
Like that, though the majority of your time doesn't matter somehow.
Yeah.
Because the life outside of it is what matters.
Right. So kind of like this idea that like your job pays for your lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I was told that several times by lots of people. Like you do realize that having this job allows you to have the life you want outside of it.
Right.
When obviously it came to the conclusion that
like most of my life is spent at this job.
Or like I'm not good at separating it like that.
Right.
Like I am an overthinking, over-involved person.
Right.
Like I'm not good
Right.
at just like having a good life outside of what is taking up most of my time.
Right.
Like,
so this is true. So this is very, very true. So basically, I watched Sam go to university and commit her entire life to university. Like literally, she would go to class all day long, come home, work until like 3 a.m, get up at 6 in the morning the next day and do it all again.
Yeah, kept doing school the way I had always done school, but on a university level now, which was even more intense because they do give you more time, and the more effort you put in does pay off a little bit more.
Right.
So like everything became my school projects.
Right. And then so what would happen is then she would like basically work herself to burnout, crash at Christmas, like go home and like, reintroduce herself to all of her friends and her entire social life there, and like the whole, Christmas and family and blah blah blah, and she would just kind of go on autopilot while she was there, come back to school, work herself to the bone,
just
go
like,
home and crash at summer.
Yeah,
right?
Just like feeling so miserable going back to school.
Yeah.
And then back to just work.
Yeah.
And then always till burnout.
Yes.
And it was a system I thought worked, but then finally caught on that like, wait, I'm working myself until I can't work anymore.
Right.
There has to be like
something
happy
more than this, right? And then she got a job and did the same thing.
Did the same
Worked
thing.
herself to complete burnout, would go to her job, work all day, come home, and continue to work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or work like ridiculous overtime hours and blah blah blah. She was just like fully committed to this working thing and working till burnout, crashing at Christmas, crashing in the summer. And then I, on the other hand, was like, hey, I'm not going to have a normal job, I'm not going to do normal stuff, so I got like my nutritionist diploma, I did my yoga teacher training, I'm like being fringe, right? But then again, my life was filled with very much nothing. There was just like nothing going on in my life outside of like I'd work my part-time job or I'd work my online job, and then I would go shopping for food, and then I would make food, and then that would be kind of it because I wasn't participating in anything.
And also bouncing around a lot.
Right.
Like the second you got used to something, you were like, well, have to get
that's normal.
This is normal.
We have to get over
Gotta
it
get
now.
over that now.
Yeah, exactly. So I like quit jobs all the time. I quit relationships. Like I could never really like be friends with anyone for any like extended period of time because like as soon as it got normal, I was like, what? And again, like this wasn't necessarily like something I was consciously thinking. It was just like the way that I was behaving was like I was just saying society is stupid and I'm just not going to participate in it. And so that was like my underpinning for my entire life. And then again, so both of us actually ended up getting to this place where we're just like, hey, I'm miserable.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't working, right? Like, I very much got into a place of, like, we moved to Thailand, and Marcus and Sam were there with me, and they were miserable. Like, it was not working, basically, right?
Well, yeah, because it was finally taking a break
Yeah.
from university, a full-time job,
Yeah.
to try to figure out,
Yeah.
okay, what works for me. But then, in reality, panicking the whole time that
Yeah.
I wasn't at university or
Yeah.
a full-time job. Like, I was missing out on time
And you were
an
doing it wrong.
opportunity that I shouldn't be missing
Yeah.
out on. Like, I
Yeah.
had to go back to real life. I
Right.
had to go back
Right.
to an institution.
Yes.
I can't do this.
Right.
Like, just freaking out.
Exactly. So basically, after Thailand, Sam went back, put herself back into university, then put herself back into a job, continued to burn herself out, got to this place of this like horrible deep depression, like soul-sucking depression basically, and just like couldn't do it anymore, right? Where it was funny because life kind of like was really trying to force me back into it, because I was with my partner Marcus, and he really wanted to have a job, like he really wanted this career, and so we had to move back into we moved to Montreal, and we moved to San Francisco, so we're like in the middle of a city, like in it, right?
Very
Like-
urban city.
Like urban city, like Marcus is working like a 9 to 5 for a company that's like, you know, a normal company. We're like 100% on the grid, participating in the society. And
America.
it was like driving me crazy. I was so judgmental. I was so like, this is wrong, this is bad, we can't be doing this. And I was not filling my life with things that were making me happy. I was just wallowing in the fact that I couldn't be this free hippie that I wanted to be, and that I had to participate in this stuff.
Yeah.
So again, I drove myself to a hugely deep depression, right? So both of us were like, okay, this normal life isn't working. It's not working, but checking out completely isn't working, and putting myself in it completely isn't working. So this black and white extreme isn't working. So basically what ended up having to happen was Sam and I both had to really sit down and say, look, who am I actually, right? If I'm not basing my entire worth on how much I can participate, and if I'm not basing my entire worth on how little I can participate, right? If it's not just like my entire self-concept now is like, I don't do these things. And if your entire self-concept is not how many friends I have, like the job I have.
Yeah, I'm a person who is doing
what I'm
these
supposed to
things.
be doing, right? Who am I? What do I want? And that's where the gray area comes in, right? So for me, I started to discover that, like, you know what? I really want to be helping people. And I kind of knew this all the time, the whole time. Like, I really wanted to be working with people. I really wanted to be creating programs and things that would help people live a life of their dreams. And I was like, whoa, like, I'm going to have to figure out what that is for me before I can give advice to other people.
Yeah.
Which meant a lot of like really serious introspective work, right? Like I had to figure out who I actually was, not just who I am rebelling, right? But who I actually am. What do I actually value? What is actually important to me? What actually makes me happy? And these were really tough questions for me to answer because I was so all about nothingness. Right? Like I was so extremely to the side of nothingness that I was even using my spirituality to bypass life.
Yeah.
Right? Like not be checked in, not actually looking at myself, not actually dealing with my problems, not actually dealing with my thought process, just being like, no.
Yeah.
Right? So I started doing this introspective work and realizing that, you know, like I needed to find some ways of being able to participate without it driving me crazy. Like, how can I be involved in the system that my partner, he wants to have a normal job. We can't just check out, right? And then I started to realize that, you know what, checking out isn't the answer anyways. Like, I want to have a positive impact on the world, which means I have to be involved in it.
Yeah,
right?
to some extent.
So I started carving out a life for myself where I started creating content on YouTube, and I started like putting myself out there. I started getting involved with other people who were doing similar things and having conversations about like real stuff that was going on with people and getting back involved in life again in a way that actually worked for me, right? So like putting out content, creating things, collaborating with people, and then even more than that, like working on like, okay, like what if my whole life isn't off in the future? What's gonna actually make me happy here right now today?
Yeah.
And sometimes that is like going for a walk outside, not just like sitting in my meditation cave and pretending everything that doesn't exist doesn't exist. And sometimes that means like coloring, like doing like actual things, drinking tea, like allowing myself these little life pleasures that I just like wouldn't allow myself before because I didn't want to be participating, right? So for me, it was essentially systematically checking back in to some specific things that I actually found value. But again, I had to actually consider, okay, what has value and what doesn't. So no, I'm not gonna like watch the news or watch Jimmy Fallon or whatever. That still doesn't really have value for me. However, I'm not like completely like, I won't watch any TV shows and I won't be checked into any media and I won't like be on Facebook or whatever. Like I am connected in those ways. And that's because it is providing value for me. And then again, like allowing myself these pleasure things that are just for having fun, right? Like really figuring out who I am, what I like, what is actually pertinent for me, and not just like, I'm not gonna do that because that's what normal people do, right? So that was kind of like my story in a nutshell, right? So we'll talk about this more, but essentially that, like, I want to give her a chance to say like what she did. Okay?
Well, yeah, so obviously same but opposite. Like I guess it was a very long and hard process for me to realize that I wasn't this person that I thought I was. Like I really, really did highly value my ability to just put my head down and work a lot. And so like quitting my first university program a year in, that was like shattering to
ego death.
Yeah, exactly, because I valued myself as this completionist person, this like perfectionist, like to the extreme. And so realizing, oh crap, I've committed to something that I don't want the end result of it. Like which, you know, totally normal. University, it's to try things out, but like just for me that was huge because I'd always been someone that just did things to the finish, and I really, really valued myself. And then so that was the very beginning of this very long process of it doesn't have to be, you've done it, now you have to finish, you have to complete it, that will somehow make you a better person, a more worthy person.
Exactly.
Like, I guess I was looking at life as a resume, like totally face value of people were looking at my life, I wanted it to be this just like perfect thing. And so slowly getting rid of that thinking of like, it doesn't have to be perfect, there is experiences that are just to teach you something.
Exactly.
And so, yes, through another couple of years of university, through a full-time 9-to-5 job, I started finding exactly like, doing everything to the book, face value, leaves me as a person in my own life, in my own experience, because I'm the only one that's living in my reality. I'm not happy. And so it was the exact opposite of, I had to start thinking, okay, like, what can I be doing in my day-to-day that I actually like, that's not working towards some imaginary goal, some thing that I'm placing value on that someone else taught me. Like, and then I slowly came to the realization of like, wow, what I would want to be doing with my life, I can be doing right now. It's just I had convinced myself that I had to go through certain systems first.
Exactly.
Or else I couldn't do that. So mine was slowly coming to like, whoa, like I can be doing what I'm hoping to do in the future right now. I don't have to jump through these hoops
to make it happen.
And so mine was just slowly coming to that, like, holy, I can start being what I want to be and work on what I want to work on right now.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be through school or a job. And so mine was really coming to like, wow, spending my spare time on what I actually wanted to be working on, and not
putting it
and not devaluing it because it wasn't authored by someone else. Like really valuing what I wanted to create and what I wanted to work on, because I valued it.
Exactly.
Whoa.
So how to find a life that works for you? Number one, you learn to start to value who you are as an individual, right? Because that was the thing that both of us didn't do, right? My ego was all about how I'm not participating, right? So all my ego deaths were coming back in, right? And allowing myself to like be a person again. And then all of her ego deaths were like checking out in a way, right?
Like
letting things go.
And not being perfect
at everything.
through other people's eyes,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
doing what I valued.
Right, exactly. So number one, valuing that you are an individual. Number two,
And that is valuable.
and that is valuable. And then figuring out what that actually means for you. So not in rebellion to something or not in comparison to something, but who are you in just who are you, right? And then number three is allowing yourself to explore that, right? Letting go of the things that aren't that and starting to accumulate the things that are that.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, I started an online company, right? I started making YouTube videos. I started putting myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
Sam moved from Calgary, like the epicenter of consumerism essentially, and came to live here with us in Mexico.
And started working on projects that I
That
had
actually-
put off forever because I thought that
Yeah.
they would be appropriate at some time. Where
Yeah.
it was like, I have what I need to work on them right now.
Exactly. So stop putting off what you want and start to actually integrate that into your day-to-day life. Stop waiting for the future where happiness will be possible.
Yeah, start doing
Right?
it
And start
now.
doing it now. So don't rebel. Don't necessarily put yourself completely into it, but find that happy medium, right? Where you're participating as much as you need to in a way that you're valuing yourself and valuing what is at the same time, right? And that's how you find a life that works for you. You gotta figure out who you really are. You gotta allow your ego to die, right?
And yeah, don't put your value entirely on
Any
other
one thing.
people's systems,
Yeah.
things outside yourself. Don't put your value entirely on just
Not being in it.
not being anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. We love hearing from you. Find us on Facebook, Perception Trainers, Instagram, ally_perception_trainers. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.